Okay, we're continuing with quotes in alphabetical order. First one is Robert Wilensky. He was a computer guy, and he said that we've all heard about 1 million monkeys typing on typewriters. Somebody claimed they'd eventually produce the entire works of Shakespeare. Now with the internet, we know that that is not true. Laura Ingalls Wilder, an American writer, teacher, homeschooler. And, I meant to read, Thornton Wilder wrote Our Town. They used to have the same last name. She wrote books like Little House on the Prairie, Little House on the Ozark. And she says, home is the best place for teaching things, many things. And first and foremost, how to think for oneself. Yeah, when you're at home, you have to think for yourself. That's a great thing. Whereas in public schools, they teach you the expert's always correct. Memorize what the expert says. Okay, Laura Wilder continues. The true way to live is to enjoy every moment as it passes. Surely as it is, in everyday things around us and the beauty of life lies. The real things haven't changed. It's still best to be honest and truthful, to make the most of what we have, to be happy with simple pleasures. A good laugh overcomes more difficulties and dissipates more dark clouds than any other one thing. I believe it would be much better for everyone if children were given the start for their education at home. No one understands a child as well as his mother. And children are so different that they need individual training and study. Right, because if the child studies something that they're interested in, they're going to remember. But if you just force them to read a book they don't want to read, they're not going to remember it. And that's well known. The purpose of public schools is not to educate the child, it's to prevent them from being educated, to make them conformist, to turn their brains off, to make them hedonistic, atheistic, turn them against their parents, make them, this hand, the left, in their values, okay, which basically makes them self-destructive. Okay, she continues. A teacher with a room full of pupils cannot do this. At home, they are in the mother's care. She can keep them from learning immoral things from other children. It adds joy to life to be continually learning things. Yeah, again, like when I was a kid, almost all the kids I knew, their mom stayed home. And it was enough for just the father to go work and make plenty of money to live in a nice neighborhood with a nice house. Nowadays, both parents working, and most of them can't afford a house. The economy is much worse. That's why I always laugh when people say, oh, we have to trust in science. Science is improving. BS. There is nothing improving. The economy is much worse. Morals are much worse. People are more unhappy. People are more fat and sick and poor. Everything is going worse. Why is everything going worse if we rely on science more and Christianity less? Because science is BS. Science is just what is controlled by big money. It's not after the truth. It's after control of the stupid pros. And the stupid pros are so dumb, they believe it. And that's why everything goes in the garbage can. Because a pro can't even imagine that someone would rip them off and mistreat them. But an intelligent person says, hey, if you got rat poison in your water, something's wrong, okay? Next person, Thornton Wilder. He's the American playwright. He's the guy who wrote Our Town. Okay, here's a couple quotes by Thornton Wilder. He says, one should seek the lofty by reading, hearing, and seeing great work at some moment every day. Yeah, other people have said this too. Reading is not only a joy, it not only develops your mind, your vocabulary, entertains you, and amuses you, you're building up cognitive reserve, okay? So that... I'll talk about this later in a separate lecture, but to have cognitive reserve means the smarter you are, the more education you have, the less likely you are to become demented. Okay, next quote. It is very necessary to keep markers of beauty in a world that seems bent on making things evil and ugly. Yeah, that's been talked about as well, is that Christianity makes everything beautiful. A beautiful cathedral, a beautiful painting, beautiful stained glass windows, beautiful sculpture, beautiful frescoes on the walls in the church, for example, versus communism makes everything ugly because it wants to demoralize everybody, okay? Christianity wants everybody to be uplifted and happy, especially Catholicism, okay? All right, Thornton Wilder continues, I am convinced that except in a few extraordinary cases, one form or another of an unhappy childhood is essential to the formation of exceptional gifts. Yeah, and I studied a lot of geniuses. They often had very loving, supportive families and parents, but they also often went through a phase of prolonged loneliness. And that loneliness and sadness motivated them to read a lot. And then that I'm talking about extensive reading, that developed their brains, okay? Like, Isaac Newton was like abandoned for a while as a kid. The father died, the mother remarried, the new stepfather didn't want him around. He was sent with an uncle, tried to make him a farmer. That didn't go so well. Okay, next quote, Thornton Wilder. He said, "I know that for every good and excellent thing in the world, it stands moment by moment on the razor edge of danger, and it must be fought for and defended." Okay, what I see is that Christianity is basically dying, okay? The Protestant sects are boring because nobody wants to hear, do as I say or you're going to burn in hell. Everybody's sick of that. Catholicism is the most beautiful, the most fun religion, the best one for enjoying life on earth. But the Catholic priesthood, the Pope's the Antichrist, and the priests stink because they don't allow them to get married. So it can't fix itself either. And 503 exemption rules where they're not allowed to talk about anything and they lose their tax exemption means all the churches just collapsing. And then noble masculinity men are not allowed. Okay? You go to some other religions, they'll invite smart men to come in and talk at their mass. But Christianity won't do that because of 503E. So their masses stink. They're boring. Mostly women take little kids to them. Unless you get noble masculinity in there, it can't be fixed. Okay? Nobody wants to go listen to, a low IQ, stupid, pedo, alcoholic priest. That's just not interesting. It's a waste of time. So it cannot save itself. Okay, despite being the best religion, if you go back in time and look at the history of it, almost all the good things come from it, the ancient Greeks and the Roman Catholic Church. That's a fact historically if you look at it. I have done so. Okay, the next line, Thornton Wilder. "There is a land of the living and a land of the dead, and the bridge is love, the only survival, the only meaning." Yeah, there's a little more to that quote than that, but sort of saying in a sense you survive through the people that remember you after you're dead. Okay, Harry Williams, he just wrote the song. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's an old popular song. We're going to leave it at that for today. I hope you found that helpful.